Hi, I'm JC Alvarez, and welcome back to Talking About. We're so lucky today. I've been after our next guest to photograph me, and he still hasn't. But that's all right. We have with us Michael Alago.
Hi there.
How are you?
I'm pretty good, thank you. How are you?
Thank you for visiting us.
Oh, well, I'm glad to be here.
Well, yeah, I should,
It's like it's about time.
It's a joy, and it's so amazing. It's like we are so lucky, I think, on our show because we run the gamut of so many different artists that come and sit in our chair and tell us what they're up to and what they're doing. You started in the music industry. You were an A&R guy.
Yes.
Yeah, and almost like in a really pivotal time in music. You know, there was a lot of new bands coming out. What are some of the bands that you discovered?
Well, I think,
one of the biggest bands that you discovered.
Metallica.
Metallica.
Yeah, I signed Metallica to Elektra Records in the summer of 1984.
How did you find Metallica? It's like they were just that loud.
Yeah, well, no, it was incredible. They made an independent record called
Right.
Kill 'Em All,
Yeah.
and I heard the record, and it was unlike anything I'd ever heard before. I mean, we were so used to listening to what I called, the standards, like Ozzy, Black Sabbath, Deep Purple, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest.
Almost like
and
formulaic, sort of like heavy metal sound, and now here comes Metallica.
Well, yeah, when I heard that, they were just doing something so different that I knew I had to go see them live. So I heard the record. I really didn't know what to say to anybody at the company because it was that different. So I called Lars, who's the drummer and the leader of the band, and was the spokesman at the time, and told him how much I loved the record and I wanted these people in my life at Elektra. So I really didn't do much about it for about 6 months, and then here we are, summer of '84, and they called me to say they were playing Roseland in New York City.
Oh,
and I went to see them, and it completely blew me away. I went backstage after the show, and I just gushed over them. It was the most extraordinary sound I ever heard. And the next day, they were in my office, and it just kind of felt like they never left.
And the rest, as they say, is music history.
Yeah.
Because now they're legendary.
Extraordinary. 25 years ago. It's crazy.
Wow.
Like, I don't even believe that.
And they're still relevant. I mean, they're still like...
They're relevant. They're better than ever.
Yeah.
They have a new record out that's extraordinary called Death Magnetic. And I couldn't get that one out. But yeah, they're really kind of extraordinary. They just got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland. That's happening April 3rd and 4th, so I'm going to go with them to that.
Oh, that's brilliant.
And it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I'm excited about that.
It's such an honor, and they've been around for 25 years, and they just got inducted, which means that they're one of the few bands that on the moment that they hit their 25 mark, they became inducted, which that's unprecedented. Very few artists at their 25 mark when they're eligible become inductees that quickly.
Well, and still, at 25 years later, they're just as relevant, if not more, than ever.
Yeah, brilliant.
Because they're making such incredible music.
Yeah, but that's not the only scope of the musical talent that you've worked with. You've worked with other artists.
Yeah, well, I did A&R for 23 years, mostly at Elektra Records and Geffen Records, and it was a great time because there was a lot of different kinds of music. There was a scene going on in New York that every night you could go out and hear something different. You could be in 3 and 4 places during the course of a night and just hear extraordinary music. And yeah, I worked with, I guess, everyone from Metallica, White Zombie, Public Image Limited, Alan Vega from an incredible group called Suicide, to Michael Feinstein and Nina Simone. I mean, it's a crazy gamut, but it's like, I love music.
It's a huge spectrum of artists that you represented there.
Yeah.
Now, you said Nina Simone.
Nina Simone.
Who is an icon.
Yeah.
What was that like? I mean, what was it like the first time you walked into a room and Nina Simone was there?
Oh, it was crazy. I mean, I listened to her my whole life growing up, and I guess it's like, say, 1990 right now, and I knew she was labelless, and people always said she was difficult, and that's why she didn't have a label, but I just thought, you know what, I'm going to do this. So I think it was...
Because she was difficult. She had a sort of like a history as being a very difficult artist to sort of like navigate and
absolutely.
Yeah.
But I always loved the music, and I thought that I could just bring something extraordinary out of her. And I knew she was coming to play New York. I think it was Irving Plaza on 17th Street in Irving Place. And I must have been in my early 20s still. And I went to the sound check, and I was standing at the back of the concert hall, and she looked at me and she wanted to know who the heck that was back there. She said, "This is no freak show. What is it that you want? Tell me now, or just get out." And I was like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? So I went up to the stage and I said, "Hi, I'm Michael Alago, and I do A&R for Elektra Records, and I would love to work with you." And she says, "How much money do you have?" I said, "Well, you know, I didn't bring any money." She says, "When can you bring the money?" I said, "Well, we haven't even talked yet." But
Money talks,
money
man.
does talk. She's quite a character.
Yeah. And you worked on her, I believe, her last album or her last record?
It was a record called A Single Woman. It was the very last recording she did. We made it with a 50-piece orchestra.
Wow.
It's a really beautiful record. She was a big Sinatra fan, and we modeled that record after Frank's album, A Man Alone.
Oh,
That whole Frank Sinatra record is all Rod McEwen songs, and we took a couple of those songs and used them on A Single Woman.
Wow.
And it really is a beautifully orchestrated record. It's very sad, but beautiful.
You know, what I've always been interested about artists. Did you find that she was really heavily involved in her music? Like because oftentimes you hear that, especially now in the pop scene, there's very few artists that are actually involved in their music. They come in, they lay on their tracks, and they're out of there.
Well, Nina didn't sing anything that she didn't believe in, you know, and a lot of the music back in the day came out of the civil rights movement. Right. You know, there's a famous song she did called Mississippi Goddamn, and you know, it's a song that's still relevant today because of what's still going on.
Absolutely.
But she never sang a song she didn't believe in, and she also loved extraordinary artists, whether it was a Rod McEwen, whether it was Bob Dylan, whether it was George Harrison, and she sang those songs as if they were her own.
Oh, brilliant.
And you believed that anytime she sang a tune.
There's not one track of Nina Simone's that is not responsive. It's not like you don't. I mean, you can almost feel where she's at.
Oh, she was extraordinary. She was one of a kind. I adored her, and it was such a privilege to work with her. And I think we got along so famously because she knew how much I loved her, and I always egged her on, and everything was drama with her. It was like, there was the day that I opened up the Post, and it said, "Diva's home on fire." And I went, oh my God. And this is in Aix-en-Provence in the south of France. So I called, and the assistant answered the phone, and he said, "Ooh, you don't want to talk to Nina." And I was like, "Why?" He said, "Because she said you started the fire." I said, "Wait a minute, I'm in New York City, you're in the south of France." He said, "I don't think you want to talk to her." I said, "Well, what happened?" He said, "Well, you know, the fax machine at one point blew up because she said you sent her too many faxes, and she's an artist and not a businessman. So cut it out." Wow. And I was like, okay, so...
Sounds to me like she set her own fire.
There was like a whole drama going on, but
God bless.
I didn't burn down the house.
Yes,
and she did get out safely. You know, I mean, there was another funny time, another little thing in the paper, a diva fires gunshots. And so I called, and I was like, "Nina, what happened?" She says, "You know, they were trying to get me last night. These people were on my property, and I had to shoot them." I said, "Well, I hope you got them, Nina." So I would always egg her on.
Only one. I only got one.
You just had to. But she was so beautiful, and she had the most radiant smile, and
amazing presence.
The most charismatic. There was really no one else like her at all.
Wow, brilliant.
Yeah.
We are live, and if anyone wants to call in, the number is 718-460-9802 if you have any questions for our guest. Now, having worked with so many relevant artists, is there anyone contemporary today that you almost feel has the same kind of energy as some of the artists that you've worked with? Anyone in music that you've heard?
Oh, Lord.
I'm not putting you on your spot.
No.
I mean, you know, Britney, you know, does Britney have it?
Well, I do love Britney remixes. Yeah, I'm a good dancer. New things.
It's like you know, everyone always gravitates to, like, you know, what's really happening in music right now. I mean, Justin Timberlake is recording so much music, working with so many different artists, and it's just like that's almost like the music that's going to mark this generation. And it almost makes me feel sad because it's very few of them are going to have these huge artists that we sort of like were inspired and moved by.
Well, I think a lot of pop music is, you know, fluff and of the moment.
Yeah.
and a lot of those artists don't write their own songs. You know, there are all these people behind the scenes that take care of them. It is a machine. But you know, I do love Justin Timberlake. I love Neo.
Oh, Neo's brilliant.
It's an incredible record.
Wow,
it's like
great.
a record that if Michael Jackson was currently making records,
he would make that
record.
He would make
it's
that
an extraordinary
album.
record.
Yes, absolutely.
I love this Robin Thicke record that's out.
It's great.
There's a great track on there that he does with Lil Wayne.
Oh,
called Tie My Hands, and it's about Katrina. And it's so haunting and beautiful. I could play that all day long.
Wow.
I think when I got the album, I must have played that track like 20 times in a row, just because it just moves me so much.
Yeah, it's just the mark of good music. If you hear it again and again and again.
You know, I can listen to Diana Krall all the time as well. She's incredible. And then on the other end of the spectrum, if I'm getting ready to go out at night, you know, I might want to hear Ministry or Nine Inch Nails, because I love the volume, I love the energy, I love the noise.
It's good to have that variety in music nowadays. Have you worked with any current artists? Because you're still kind of involved in music. Or
well, I work with a small independent label called Outsider Music, and it's me and this artist, Richard Morel. And Rich Morel, we just put out his CD. It's called The Death of the Paperboy, and it's very moody and ambient. It's a double disc. The first disc is rock, alternative, and he remixed the whole second disc.
Oh, brilliant.
And it's very atmospheric and dark, almost very David Bowie-esque meets the Pet Shop Boys. Really beautiful.
Very edgy. Wow.
Yeah, and we also put out Colton Ford's record on Outsider Music.
Brilliant.
So yeah, I still keep my fingers dabbled in music, and
among other things.
Well,
your fingers.
Don't be so fresh. I don't even know you that well yet.
Your fingers have dabbled, but we seem to have a caller before we move on. Caller, you have a question for Michael?
Hi, yes. Hi, my name is Maria, and I'm a singer. And I know Michael has been working with a lot of really famous artists, and I was just wondering if he has any advice for an independent artist, how to really make it, or anything that I can use basically as advice from somebody.
Oh, absolutely. I think when you make a demo tape, you really have to put your best foot forward. You know, if you have 5 songs that you're really high on, that you think makes you come across as an artist, that's the presentation you want to make to a record company. I think these days there's a lot of alternative marketing, if you want to call it alternative marketing. You can get yourself out there on the internet in a big way.
Yeah,
I think
like
playing live, you know, you want to create a buzz when you play live. I think playing live is so important so that people see you and talk about you and write about you.
Be your own marketeer.
Oh, absolutely. These days you have to do that.
Okay.
Yeah. Great.
Okay,
so good luck.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, caller.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
I'm sure that you know, especially with the advent of things like, you know, American Idol, and it's like, you know, almost everyone thinks now they can just break it into the pop business and that they're going to be breakout stars, and it's kind of like,
oh, it's so hard to do. I mean, especially
it's a lot of work.
Top 40 pop music.
It's a lot of work.
So much money that still gets put behind there, and there's a lot of artists that you don't even hear about these days. But thank God for the internet.
Thank God for the internet.
You get to hear new and exciting music there that you don't hear on the radio.
Absolutely, and we have another caller.
Hey.
Hi, caller.
Hey, my name is Madhi. I'm actually an Indian. I know Michael is working with all the musicians. I was just watching the show. I'm just wondering, the Indian guy who won the 2 Oscar awards, A.R. Rahman, and I know Michael is know all about the music, and I just want to hear about from Michael what is his opinion about A.R. Rahman and the Slumdog Millionaire.
That's such a great song.
Well, it's just so much fun and so exciting. I don't know. I don't know what else really to say about
do you think
it
it deserved? Do you think it deserved the Academy Award? I mean, I thought it was an extremely relevant song. Yeah.
Well, yeah, definitely relevant. I just also thought I was surprised that there wasn't more songs in that category, because I was expecting Bruce Springsteen's The Wrestler to be in there and a few other things. But you know, what a breakout movie! What a breakout song! So you know, I think it deserved the Academy Award.
Do you think that because Bollywood is such a huge market, and certainly like it has inspired a lot of music, which is I think one of the things our caller is probably interested in hearing. Do you think that now we're going to have a swing in a lot of different sounds? Because the Pussycat Dolls just remixed that track,
Oh, really?
And
I
made
didn't
it,
even know
yeah,
that.
they remixed it and they made it their own. And it's kind of like, are we going to start hearing more of a sort of like an infusion from Indian music into
Well,
contemporary?
I think when something happens in such a big way, like Slumdog Millionaire, you always do get, dare I say, copycats and other people who want to follow the leader and
They become inspired by.
they do become inspired by, and sometimes it's incredible, and sometimes it's just derivative.
Very good. Caller, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Now, we were getting to the point that you do dabble
I do dabble.
in all kinds of things, and it's really, and I think, and I, being a multifaceted artist myself, I think it is important to like do as much as you can with your art. And you, sir, are a brilliant photographer.
Oh, well, thanks.
Yeah, and you released Rough Gods, which also was an exhibit.
It's an ongoing exhibit.
It's an
I try
ongoing
to have
exhibit.
exhibits wherever they let me. Yeah, there's one up in Baltimore right now. It's been up for 2 months, and it closes tomorrow night.
Now, I don't want our viewers to think that it's just a book about the backs of people's heads.
No, but I do love the backs of people's heads. I love heads.
You know, it's when I first was researching you and I saw the cover, I remember thinking I'm also really attracted to the backs of people's heads and the necks because there's a lot that can happen there. But a lot of the pictures in the book, you're inspired by, wow, hot men. These are very, very provocative pictures, and certainly amazing shots of the male physique and the male form, and some can be very erotic, but they're also very raw and really guttural. And then there's some really fantastic shots of tattoo art.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I love tattoos.
Which you also seem to be very inspired by. So it's kind of like we're going to actually show some of the pictures because you know what, I like to hear the stories behind some of the shots that were taken. So let's look at this one.
Oh, boy.
Let's start off with,
that's
a
incredible.
big one.
You know, I met Timothy on the street. And
You met that on the street?
Yes, I did. And I
What
had
street was that?
8th Avenue in New York. And he's really extraordinary. He's a walking work of art.
Yes.
People always say, was that real? Of course it's real, you know.
Yeah, that somebody would actually tattoo themselves in such a fashion
Well,
that
it's inspiring
yes.
and it's beautiful.
It's very personal.
Oh, absolutely.
But you know what's really amazing about your shot is that it's very soft.
Well,
I see a certain
every time I
softness
do
in
a
there.
photo session, I always make people close their eyes and I tell them, please just go to sleep and dream. And because the men are so masculine and rough and tattooed, I think what happens when I ask them to close their eyes is that it softens the picture. They become vulnerable. And
I just go to sleep.
No, come on. And I just think that it just becomes really beautiful.
It's true. It becomes very, very soft. Let's take a look at another shot.
Sure.
This one's really, really amazing. I just like the rawness and just like the shadow and the light on it. What's the story behind this shot right here?
That's my friend Jeff.
I mean, he looks like a superhero, which is, you know.
He always reminded me of a 1950s G.I. Joe doll.
Yes.
He has that ruggedness about him.
I would play with him.
I'm glad. Yeah, we took that on the West Side Highway on a really beautiful blue day. And I loved where he was standing because all that metal makes it look like he has these metal wings.
Oh, yes, of course, yeah.
I just, it's a really strong picture.
And what's also is like, you know, you certainly had the light factoring into it, and it just like really
well, like I said, it was just a beautiful blue day.
Phenomenal.
And it just, the light just picked everything up in that picture.
Because it
was just a magic moment.
There really is, I mean, it's not just, anyone can just take pictures of the male physique, but when there is a certain art form to taking these pictures, I mean, it's like, you know, your approach has to be in the moment and very spontaneous. You know, it's really, really phenomenal. Let's take a look at another one.
Adult film star Dick Wolf. Really handsome guy.
Yes.
I was in San Francisco and we climbed to the top of the Palace of Fine Arts before the police asked us to come down. But there was this extraordinary column there and I just love his strength. So I just said, grip that column and just be handsome and strong. And that's exactly what he did.
Tells, what's really, really great about the shot is that this is probably a way he's never been looked at before. Like he's probably never been interpreted this way or seen in that sort of way. So it's really.
Well, I just wanted this strong, beautiful portrait that had nothing to do with his adult film.
But it has a lot of character too. Like you see so much, of his emotion in it. It's really, really great.
Oh,
it's
thank
really
you.
sweet. Let's take a look at this one. I think this one is my favorite. Is it? Oh yeah.
Oh good. Oh, that's Joe. You know what? It actually is one of my favorite pictures
it's a great
that I've
shot.
taken.
It's a great
I
shot.
took it in Provincetown in the cemetery, and it also was a beautiful day. And I just think it's so strong.
Yes.
And it reminds me of like a drunken sailor from an Arthur Rimbaud novel or a Jean Genet prison story. I just love his strength.
Very ethereal about it. It looks really, really
great. I
great.
just love how beautiful his eyes are, and it caught the camera like dead on, and it's just one of those magic moments.
Did you have to manipulate the lighting, or did you get natural
No, it
lighting
really.
for that?
I don't do a lot with my camera.
Wow.
I just try to find the right time of day. Of course, always trying to find the right person, and I don't really plan except that we're going to the cemetery. Let's knock it out
and see what happens.
When you have a connection with someone, that's how strong the picture can be.
Definitely. And speaking of strength, we got another shot coming up. Let's post this one up. Wow, this is. It's a beautiful subject, but I mean, just the art, the way you captured the art on that, and if you look at the skyline behind there.
Oh, it was also the West Side Highway, and I knew I wanted to take a picture of him outdoors.
I want to take a picture of him
when the sun was going down.
Yeah.
And so I guess we caught really beautiful light at dusk on the West Side Highway, and his eyes are so piercing and beautiful and strong. And he kind of like, because he's so big and has all those tattoos, I still feel like his face crosses the line from being tough, but also really handsome and beautiful.
It's very sensitive. I mean, it's like the body almost is like a canvas, but it's like, when you get up to like, the solidness of his face, it's like you really caught something there, especially with the lighting going on in the back. It just looks phenomenal.
It's a really strong face, yeah.
All right, let's take a look at this next shot. Do we have time for one more? Because I want to, that's the one I want to talk about.
That's so funny. That's,
I'm scared of this one.
No, Jay-Z. He's a pussycat. He's incredible.
The guys that look like that usually are like the nicest guys in the whole wide world.
Great. That's like a brand new picture. I think I only took that like 2 weeks ago.
Right.
And it really, for me, is about strength and domination and sex. I mean, like I look at him and I just think of sex.
It's very, very sexy. But it's also very humorous. It's very ironic. There's like an irony to it. Yeah.
It's funny because, I don't know, he was talking and I just said, stick out your tongue. And he has this long tongue, and I said, you know what? We're going to take this picture. It's going to be really strong, and I want you to stick out your tongue like Gene Simmons from Kiss. And he did, and it works. And I don't know. I just think it's a really fun, sexy portrait.
It is phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. Can we show the last one just for kicks? I mean, it's just funny.
Oh,
This takes a lot of nerve to do this. I mean, it's like very few models have gone away with this stuff. I mean, this is something really quick that you have to capture in the moment.
In the moment, Jake Deckard, adult film star as well. We were on like near the West Side Highway, and I said, you know what, you look so incredible, but I think you should just pull your pants down and start hitchhiking. So he did, and it was really that one picture that I took, and we caught it, and it was fun, and people love it.
Was it?
It's a little camp.
It's very campy. It's very campy. Was he embarrassed at all?
Not at all. Neither was I. It's just something that happened, and
that is
great.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Now the book is Rough Gods, and you're looking forward to a second printing of this, isn't it coming out again?
I put that book out on my own, and I made 2,000 copies of it. They're numbered and signed, and it's mostly sold out. Although I think at Rizzoli on 57th Street and Rainbows and Triangles in Chelsea may have a copy or two left. But it did really well, the 2,000 copies it sold out. And so now I'm talking to real publishers about making the second edition. And the second edition will be hardcover. And I added about a dozen more pictures to make it a bit more current. And it really is so cool and so provocative and really strong. So I'm excited.
So it's like an ongoing process. I mean, this seems like, you know, it's going to have a lot of other
everything
lives.
I do falls under the moniker Rough Gods. And I just think when you think Rough Gods and you think about me, you know what you're going to get in a photograph. So a second edition of that will come out, and I'm working on a book called Brutal Truth and Beauty. And I'm trying to get that out for Christmas this year.
Okay,
Yeah.
fantastic. Now, your website where people can check out some of your work, check out more of the Rough Gods shots,
Rough Gods,
we didn't show you everything.
You can go to www.roughgods.com, or if you're on Facebook,
So they can find
you
you.
find me on Facebook.
As well as perhaps some of the models.
I'm sure you could find everybody these days on Facebook, but it's called Rough Gods fan page. And it's
Excellent.
really cool because at one point they threw me off of Facebook because I guess they thought I was too provocative. So my webmaster
that's
wrote
good.
This. I know it's good. We had like 1,000 people there, and my webmaster Ian, who's extraordinary, love you Ian, wrote this great letter to Facebook, and they really looked at the site. We got all these generic letters back, and then finally like a person looked at the site and they put it back up because so many people were complaining, which is kind of great because now there's almost 10,000 fans there.
Well, because
So
one person's art is another person's pornography, but it's kind of like, I mean, these are really relevant pictures. I mean, there's so much emotion in the pictures that you've captured here and stuff. So it's kind of like, you know, if it's not your cup of tea, just don't check it out. But it's sort of like, you know, what's really great is that someone is doing it.
Oh, well, thanks.
You know, and that it's out there because there is an audience for it, and you know, we in this culture, the society tends to almost like we don't enhance or we don't put focus on how beautiful the physique is, you know, and how beautiful the human body is.
Well, I think we have with the female form.
Yes.
And I think people still just get so freaked out when they see a half-naked man.
Full of tattoos.
Full of tattoos. And I just say, you know, bring it out there. You know,
Absolutely.
show people there are all different kinds of
there's
men running around the city.
Well, we have
Mine are very specific, but yeah.
We have all kinds of people in this world, and it should all be celebrated.
Absolutely.
And in our last couple of minutes, because we're almost out of time, what's going on right now? What are you doing right now? Encapsulate that right now.
Oh, right this very minute.
What would you tweet about right now?
What would I tweet about? Right, exactly.
Where the exhibit is still going on?
Yeah, I'm actually going to Baltimore tomorrow morning.
Awesome.
And I know there are a couple of collectors and people that said they wanted to still catch the show. So it got extended another week, and tomorrow's the last day.
Oh, phenomenal.
It's at a place called Sean Lord Gallery.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. That's fantastic.
So that's exciting.
That
And
must
then
be
other
always
than
really
that, I'm
exciting.
just always running around the city looking for people to take pictures of. So if there are some rough gods out there, please send me your picture.
And where can they find you?
At the website roughgods.com. My email address is there, and
because he's always looking for his next.
Always looking.
Because Michael and I are always looking for more rough gods. It's really phenomenal, and it's so great to to have had you come and visit us.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
Oh,
I
please.
appreciate it.
No,
it's been fun.
It's brilliant. It's such great work, and it's really phenomenal. I'm sure our audience loved it.
Oh, cool.
And Michael Alago, thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. And check out the pictures. Go to our website. Go to www. I always throw in a lot of W's there. talkingabout.info for more on our show. And I'm JC Alvarez, and this has been Talking About.